38% of African Americans in the city live at or below poverty. Sales taxes are regressive, and people who live in poverty pay more than 5% of their income in sales taxes. And this is the second time in 6 months that we have been asked to raise sales taxes. This will make St. Louis City one of the highest sales taxes rates in the country. And is that what we want to be known for? We definitely don't want to be known for raising taxes on those who can least afford it. And in times like these, when our people are in the streets demanding justice, asking us to increase taxes is tone deaf. The government should work for the people, not the other way around. Thank you.
Thanks, Charlotte. Stephanie Dinges from Socialist Alternative.
Hello. I don't want to be repetitive because a lot of people have already made a lot of great points, but I just want to say, as a Socialist Alternative member, as a member of this community, and just a member of the St. Louis City, enough is enough. This is a direct attack on working class. People that are going to legislators, going to the Board of Aldermen, going out in the streets, saying that enough is enough, we want our social services, not more money for the people that are oppressing us, and we have to vote no on this in order to take care of each other. And that's how crime is prevented historically, is communities actually caring about each other, not more police and more oppression. Thank you.
Can we get your name and?
Yes, Stephanie Dinges, and I'm a member of Socialist Alternative.
Can you spell your last name, please?
D-I-N-G-E-S.
Okay, then Matt Schmidt from Audit STL.
Hello, I'm Matthew Carroll Schmidt. I'm the treasurer for Audit STL, a grassroots group of citizens currently collecting signatures to qualify for the state auditor, Nicole Galloway, to come in and audit the city for us. I think it's worth noting that the Department of Public Safety, since it was returned to local control, has never been audited. So the police are asking us for more money, and we have literally no idea. The public has no idea what they're spending it on. And so we simply say, it makes a lot of sense to me to look into what they're doing before we give them more. It makes so much sense that the current mayor campaigned on this. She campaigned as a CPA who is going to come in and audit the city, save money, and not raise our taxes. Less than a year in, she's breaking this vow and asking us to raise taxes on the poorest, and it just doesn't make any sense to us. Let's audit the city. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Megan Green, 15th Ward Council, Alderperson.
Thank you. I'm Megan Aaliyah Green, 15th Ward Alderwoman in the City of St. Louis. In my opinion, this bill should have never passed the Board of Aldermen. We put a sales tax on the ballot last April, and now we're asking the most poor, most vulnerable people in our community to once again raise their taxes. We're at a point where people who are under the poverty line are spending almost 10% of their income on taxes, over 5% of that on sales taxes as well. People in the city, I think, have had enough. People in the area where I represent, our property taxes went up an average of 38% this year as well. People are at their breaking point, and we cannot afford to put more money into an arrest and incarcerate system without any accountability. The comptroller of the City of St. Louis released an audit last spring that showed that we have $15 million that was spent on police overtime, and $3 million of that is unaccounted for. We have 4 officers right now that were indicted on felony charges for overtime fraud. These are things that we need to get answers to before we move forward and put any more money into this system. While we're working to increase funding into a criminal justice system, what we've cut funding from are things like our health department. Over the last year, or year and a half, we've cut about $1 million from our health department, and we continue year after year after year to underfund programs like the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. until we get to a place where we are investing in these social support services as much or more than we are in an arrest and incarcerate system, we're not going to see a difference in the crime rates in these cities. So I am urging folks to get out and vote no on Prop P. Let's get a full audit of the city. Let's understand where our money is going toward. Let's see how much money that is supposed to be going toward things like affordable housing and public health are getting diverted into a criminal justice system right now. And then let's come back and revisit this conversation after we have a full accounting of where our money is going to in the city of St. Louis.
Okay, next we have Sidney Johnson from the St. Louis Democratic Socialists of America.
Hello, my name is Sidney Johnson, and I'm the co-chair of the Democratic Socialists of America and also a resident of the 27th Ward. I'm here to urge you to vote no on Proposition P, mainly because it's regressive. It depends on the backs of poor people, and it certainly doesn't help us any that it doesn't give any money to Health and Human Services, whereas in my ward specifically, we love to see places like Myrtle Hilliard Davis working at its full capacity. And again, we don't see the same policing that a lot of the parts in the other parts of the city in the north side, the other parts of the city see. And so we want to continue to urge, as we did urge people to vote no on the board when it came through the board. And so we want to continue to urge you guys to vote no. Thank you.
We'll get your name again, sir.
Sidney Johnson.
And David Gerth from Metropolitan Congregations United.
I'm Reverend David Gerth. I'm the Executive Director of Metropolitan Congregations United. And I've had the experience over the last few weeks of seeing our police department behave in ways that I don't want to invest in. I've also seen some behaviors that I would like to invest in. But for example, two of my clergy colleagues wearing collars were accosted by our police officers on the street, one of them thrown to the ground simply for using his voice. Thrown to the ground and his glasses intentionally broken. In the grand scheme of things, it might not have been much, but it's a clear indication of a culture within our police department that we cannot reward and we cannot continue to invest in. We need to invest in the kinds of cultures within our police department that are invested in our communities. And until we have a clear guarantee that that's what's going to happen, we need to vote no on Prop P and then expect a different plan to come forward.
Thanks, Dave. Then Philip Weeks is here from Empower, Missouri.
Hello, my name is Phil Weeks. I'm with Empower, Missouri. I'd like to say one of the reasons why Empower Missouri feels compelled to urge residents to vote no on Prop P can be found in our motto: the welfare of the people shall be the supreme law. And in our vision statement, Empower Missouri advocates for the well-being of all Missouri through civic leadership, education, and research. Prop P would increase the regressive tax base in the city of St. Louis that disproportionately hurts the poor and working workers who can least afford to pay this tax. In addition, Prop P would increase the taxes on the working people in the city of St. Louis after many were denied an increase in the minimum wage by Governor Greitens and the Missouri legislature. Increasing city revenue to fund an arrest and incarcerate system that already spends over 52% of the city budget is unconscionable. This is one of the many reasons why we urge residents to vote no on Prop P. Thank you.
Okay, and I'm going to close it out with comments from the Coalition Against Police Crimes and Repression. Again, I'm John Chasanoff, co-chair of the Coalition Against Police Crimes and Repression. So I just came this morning from a house down on South Kings Highway, which was raided by the FBI and the St. Louis Police Department this morning. This was the second raid on this house in the past few months. The first raid was June 7th, and the SWAT team went in and, in a hail of over 100 bullets, killed Isaiah Hammett. The raid today was ostensibly to find some young men who were suspected in a recent robbery. But the police said that they had been surveilling those suspects for over a week. And there was absolutely no need to go into this house once again, traumatize a family that had already been traumatized, throw flash bang grenades through the window into a room where children were sleeping. And this was a warrant that could have been executed in a much different fashion if we had police that were truly doing community policing, that were working with the community instead of engaging in this type of home invasion time and time again. So the Coalition Against Police Crime and Repression is coming out strongly opposed to Prop P. We need to see a different kind of policing in Missouri. We need to see a different kind of policing here in St. Louis. That's why today we have with us here and signing on to this campaign 24 organizations who have come together to speak with one voice for change in St. Louis. So we're going to open it up to questions, and I'm going to ask the folks behind me to help me with those. I also wanted to thank Alderwoman Sharon Tyus for hosting us here today. We appreciate you getting us in out of the wind and the cold. But please help me with any questions, and with that we'll open it up to the press.
Are you worried about keeping the officers that you want who are doing what you want them to do? Because it's not going to be the bad officers who leave to take a higher salary. It's going to be the ones who can get jobs in other municipalities.
So I'll answer that and then see if anyone else wants to. But to our way of thinking, it's a matter of priorities and trying to find the right balance. We simply can't reward an institution that has disappointed us time and time again. We do feel for those good officers and hope they'll stay with the city and hope to improve the department. And when we see that type of improvement, we could then revisit a question of raise salaries.
Any thought that money from this could go to further training and improve the department, improve the officers that are there?
Does anybody else want to take this?
I would say that...
Can you step up to the mic, please?
Unless there is strict accountability written into this funding bill, we're not going to see it. I mean, historically...
Sit down so we can... Thank you.
Historically, we have not seen, unless there is something that is actually legislatively passed that would mandate this type of training or mandate the changes that we want to see in the department. Historically, we've seen a lot of commitments from like former Chief Sam Dotson, but we've never seen any action. So in my mind, it doesn't make sense for us to allocate any more money until we have accountability metrics that would really show that it would go to them.
And I just want to speak to the fact that I first got elected in 1991. So we've been through many, many police bond issues for fire, police. They do this every couple of years. Then they spend the money on exactly what they want to. They never, ever do exactly what they say they're going to do. And in fact, when we were voting whether to send this out to the people, I voted no. And I asked the sponsor of the bill, because I want an accountability of, are we comparing apples with apples? Because they're talking about how much money the county is now going to make. But the sponsor could not tell me what is salary. Does salary include benefits? What is salary? So you should be able to put that out. And any accountant will tell you, if you're going to compare, and you're going to say we want them to make exactly what the county, we should be able to say the county gets paid this much money, these are their benefits, these are their uniform or whatever, and that's what we should be able to do with the city. They have never, ever done that to this day. And I got elected first in 1991. And I'll tell you, if you look over the last 25 years, how many times they've come out with this, and then they do something very different with the money.
Can I comment to her question?
Sure. Can you give your name to the press?
My name is Thomas Payton. I'm a retired city firefighter. You asked about good cops leaving because of the salary. We understood as firefighters that we were making the lowest per capita in the metropolitan area for firefighters. But for us, for me, and a lot of people who enjoy the job, it took us a privilege to serve the citizens of St. Louis. It's not a right. It's an honor and a privilege. So those who truly enjoy the job will be here because of money. Because you get in for the money here, you're doing the wrong thing. It's like nursing and other fields. You can't do it for the money. You got to do it for the passion and the care. So I know a lot of guys who left the city for the money, but I know a lot of guys, a whole lot of guys who stayed in because they enjoy the work they did. They enjoy serving citizens of St. Louis. There was a bondage passed a couple of years ago about getting more firefighters hired by slate. I never saw those firefighters get hired before I retired. I never saw new trucks. I never saw, matter of fact, my old company is riding in an old truck from 1986. When nerves break down, they gotta ride this truck, and we gotta jump on the back of it to get it going reverse. So where's the money going? Who's accounting for where the money's going?
Are there any other questions? Okay, before we break up, I heard that Michelle Higgins is here. Is that... Okay. Well, I think that does it then. We appreciate you all coming out today. We know this will be an important issue and there'll be a lot more discussion. So please look to these 24 organizations for viewpoints and feedback as we progress towards the vote on November 7th.
Let me ask before, what kind of campaign are you guys going to be able to do? Are you going to be able to put out a lot of flyers, signs? And how are you going to tell more people to vote no?
So we don't have the kind of money that the pro-P folks have. So we're going to be spreading the word through word of mouth, through social media. We're going to try to turn out at the polls to let voters know how we feel about it on that day. Do a get out the vote campaign, and that'll be our approach. Okay, thank you all very much.
All right, thanks for joining me, everyone, this morning here in St. Louis City Hall, where there was a press conference for a coalition of 20-plus organizations against Prop P in St. Louis. Prop P is going to be voted on, I believe, November 7th here in St. Louis. It's basically a sales tax raise to give the police department a large chunk of money and the fire department a little chunk of money. So citizens basically against that, this coalition against that, because they feel it's rewarding bad behavior until they see changes within the police department that have been promised for years, and especially changes people are demanding now. Citizens don't feel they should give them a drop of money. Also, where they're trying to take this money from the sales tax, it's going to affect poor people the worst. Poor people here in St. Louis, it's going to, on average, spend over 5% of their income on sales tax. The very top 1% in St. Louis, it's like 0.0 something percent. And this is going to increase that, again, putting the burden on the poor people of St. Louis who already get bad policing. So that's why this organization is against it here. And you also might have heard one of the speakers talking about just this morning, the FBI and in conjunction with police raided again the home of Isaiah Hammett, who was shot and killed by a SWAT raid back in June. The SWAT raid back in June, police claimed he was firing at them with an AK-47. His grandfather was in the house. They had no gun. They were not firing. He said some last words to his father before he died after he was shot with over 100 bullets from the SWAT raid outside the house. They, again, came to terrorize the same house, claiming that they had been tailing some people for a week and they had a warrant for them and they were inside that house. Well, if they've been following them for the week, they could have picked them up anywhere else. They could have waited for them to leave. Obviously, they were observing the house. They could have done anything else but raid the house and throw flashbangs in a room where children were sleeping. This is the type of behavior, the militarized police behavior. And it doesn't matter whether it's our local police, the feds, they're all involved on this, and this shit has to stop right now. I mean, clearly, this was to send a message to the Hammett family, to protesters, and to say anything else is just naive. So retaliation this morning, people are not happy about that. Isaiah, there's already bullet holes from the last raid in the home to remind them every day that her son is gone. And supposedly these two gentlemen were wanted for a robbery. Again, they could have been picked up anywhere. Police claiming they raided the house because they thought it was a safe house where these two gentlemen were hiding out. Again, they've been following them for a week. They haven't been inside the house the whole week. They could have literally picked them up any other time, waited for them to come out of the house. But no, cops wanting to be fucking cops had to throw flashbangs in a room with small children. And that's why we're going to continue to fight, and that's why we're going to continue to live stream. But from St. Louis City Hall for now, RebZ. I am about to go down. There's an action later tonight, I think about 6 o'clock. I will be live for that. Make sure you visit the new website, RebZ.tv, where you can check out our articles, past live streams, and you can even donate to us, help us keep going. Become a monthly contributor today for as little as $1 a month, and you can help me keep going. Thanks, guys. I will see you later tonight.